I don't know, honestly, as a journalist, whatever you want to call us, where they go from here. This is one of those, well, damn moments for the Yankees, and I'd use a more profound word if we were allowed to.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias, and with me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, busy week so far?
My elbow hurts.
Actually, mine does too. I have a phantom pain in my elbow. Maybe all Yankee fans do. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. On today's show, Yankee fans need to temper their expectations, but they also shouldn't lose hope. Who are the possible replacements for Cole in the rotation, and can the Yankees do anything that doesn't involve looking within the organization? We'll discuss that. Breaking news. We're recording this Monday evening. Gerrit Cole is having Tommy John Tuesday, the day that this airs. He got his second opinion from Dr. Neil Elatrich, and Dr. Neil Elatrich will be performing the surgery for him.
Yeah, he is the most respected doctor when it comes to Tommy John surgery. So if you were concerned about him getting the surgery, he is getting it from the expert in Tommy John surgeries, legitimately. So he's going to be getting it. I mean, listen, most pitchers come back from this stronger than ever. And I don't doubt that Gerrit Cole, the guy with his work ethic and his experience and stuff, won't come back from this better than ever. It's devastating. It's upsetting. There's a lot of breaking down of the Yankees season. That's expectations need to be tempered far from where they were a week ago. But, you know, this is what we were talking about if you listened to last night's episode. And I was looking at the numbers earlier, actually, and it did really well. And I think because a lot of Yankee fans were hoping that we were going to come on and say, hey, guys, don't worry. Still hold out hope. He's getting a second opinion. That could be a good sign. And we didn't give that to you. And we're not going to give it to you today. Again, like we said yesterday, if you missed yesterday's episode, I kind of opened it with a little bit of a soliloquy saying that me and Stacey are not going to lie to you. We're not going to throw the pom-poms. We're not going to go Yankees 24/7 to the greatest team. That's not what this is going to be. What we're going to do is give you the truth. We're going to be angry at boom when we need to be angry at him. We're going to praise them when we need to praise them, but we're also going to kill them when they deserve to be killed. And there is no more devastating blow than this all year. There was one other one that could have happened. It would have been Aaron Judge getting hurt. And this isn't wood, but you get my point. And you know, I can't sugarcoat this any other way. This is as bad of an injury as they could have afforded. This is as bad as anything that could have happened to them. Will they try to add? Maybe. Potentially. Will they be able to? Probably not. I don't know, honestly, as a journalist, whatever you want to call us, where they go from here. This is one of those, well, damn moments for the Yankees, and I'd use a more profound word if we were allowed to. That's it. There is nothing else that I can offer to you guys, and we're going to break down the Gerrit Cole stuff into a fine powder, but when it comes to, is this can they recover, can they not, whatever, let's just say the expectations need to be greatly, greatly, greatly changed from what they were 48 hours ago.
Yeah. Cole posted a message to Instagram on Monday evening, just before we started recording. This is what he said. You can take it away.
Yeah, his post just came up. From the time I first dreamed of wearing the Yankee uniform, my goal has always been to help bring a World Series championship to New York. That dream hasn't changed. I still believe in it, and I'm more determined than ever to achieve it. Today, the most respected medical experts in the field recommended that I undergo Tommy John surgery. This isn't the news any athlete wants to hear, but it is necessary. It is a necessary next step for my career. I have a lot left to give, and I'm fully committed to the work ahead. I'll attack my rehab every day and support the 2025 Yankees each step of the way. I love this game. I love competing, and I can't wait to be back on the mound. Stronger than ever. See you soon, G. Again, not what any Yankee fan wanted to hear. Glad it came from Gerrit Cole seconds after it came from Jeff Passan, because that's how most baseball news comes out. That's it. Like he put it the best way. He put it straightforward and basically said he's not going to be available this season, and it's awful and it stinks. I don't know if this is Gerrit Cole's first Tommy John surgery. I feel like it is. I don't feel like he's had one previously. But, you know, this is part of the horrors of baseball. And I did hear a few local pundits in the media state, this is why you can't be giving out big time contracts to pitchers. No, I highly disagree with that. I think, Gerrit Cole has given you another Cy Young caliber season, has dragged you to a World Series. He's done a lot for this team. This is part of the gamble you take when you give a pitcher a big deal. But I don't think the Yankees would rather have any guy on the mound other than Gerrit Cole in a big spot. So
yeah,
this is the gamble you take. We all knew this was a potential to happen, and unfortunately it did.
Yeah, it's also, we've spoken about this aspect of it many times. These guys are throwing so much harder than guys did 25 years ago. I mean, these guys are hitting 98, 99 on the regular, where if you saw a guy hit 94, he was considered a flamethrower back in the early 90s. Like, whoa, this guy almost hit 95. And now there are guys who are almost hitting 105. One guy did actually hit 105. Yeah. And you're just seeing an uptick in Tommy John surgeries because, and I've talked about this too before, if you look at a still picture of a pitcher in the middle of his windup throwing a pitch, the arm looks like the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life because it's making a motion that it shouldn't be making. Plus you're throwing a ball nearly 100 miles an hour. Or 100 miles an hour. So I'm surprised that more guys haven't gotten Tommy John, but there's definitely been an uptick in the last 10 years.
Yeah, no,
it's big names are getting Tommy John. You would have the occasional guy getting Tommy John. And it would be someone like kind of on the periphery, but it wasn't someone who, like, you're seeing a lot of big name guys go down with these injuries now.
Well, the problem too is you have kids now at 14 years old learning how to throw curveballs. Yeah. You have kids at 9 years old, they're throwing 80 miles an hour. It's nuts. And I'm, I'll sit here and say, if I have children one day, I'm sure the future mother of my kids is not going to love this statement, but if my kid was throwing 80 miles an hour in, 8th grade, yeah, I'd want him to learn a curveball and I want him to learn a cutter. I'm going for it. We're going for the $300 million contract. I'm sure that Gerrit Cole doesn't regret the $360 million contract he signed with the Yankees. However, this is part of the deal. This is what winds up happening. Gerrit Cole throws 102 miles an hour and has ridiculous movement on the pitches that don't go 102 miles an hour. There's an incredible level of torque that's put on his arm, on his body, on everything. It feels like this stuff is inevitable. And, I wanted to bring this up because I think this is a fascinating theory. Masahiro Tanaka had a very similar feel to him from Gerrit Cole about a year ago, where we heard this news come out that he had the stressing in the elbow. He went for tests. He wound up coming back. Now, the difference is Masahiro Tanaka came back with a partially torn UCL. He was out for 6 weeks. He restarted his training camp, I guess if you want to call it, got a PRP injection and was back out there. Gerrit Cole basically had the same treatment the last offseason, but the diagnosis was never, announced publicly. It basically came out as strain in the elbow, swelling in the elbow. But we never found out that it was a partially torn UCL. They never used
some sort of like, I remember the word irritation also being used for his injury.
But again, does that help? No. It wasn't really specific at all.
It felt like they were being secretive again.
Yeah, and
I don't want to say this. Purposely vague.
I don't want to say this because I know he loves being a Yankee, but I know a lot of these guys also love money. And it does feel like Gerrit Cole was very well aware of, like you said last night, going into a season with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and being, World Series favorites and a chance to win. But he also was probably, with his agent being Scott Boras, very cognizant of the fact that he had an opt-out year coming where he could opt out and get another $38 million for a 5th year added to his contract. Everyone thought it was weird that he opted out. The Yankees gave him the 5th year because they pretty much had no option at that point. But it does make me feel like Gerrit Cole was aware that there was something going on in his elbow and he was trying to secure another nearly $40 million. And I feel bad saying that because I know Gerrit Cole loves being a Yankee and loves pitching for the Yankees. But $40 million is still $40 million. And it does feel like, even if Gerrit Cole wasn't necessarily aware and wanting to make that decision, we know for damn sure if there's anyone in baseball that's aware of how much money's on the table, it's definitely Gerrit Cole's agent. So it does feel like there was some fishy stuff going on. And maybe Gerrit Cole believed that he could pitch the rest of his career on that partially torn UCL. Difference is when Masahiro Tanaka did it, Masahiro Tanaka was pitching on a partially torn UCL. and not throwing 102 miles an hour. He was throwing 92 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour with great movement and a great sinker, but he wasn't throwing 102 miles an hour. There's a difference between the two things. And I don't know if you believe that or not. You don't have to really say it either. But it does feel like Gerrit Cole was very well aware of the injury that actually was true last year. And there's a reason why that wasn't announced fully.
Yeah. I really do think it has to do with the pressure of the Yankees got Juan Soto. And I said it on yesterday's show. It's the same reason why Stanton battled his way through. I still can't believe Giancarlo Stanton did what he did in the playoffs with two elbows that were not feeling right. And it wasn't like he was tearing the cover off the ball, but it wasn't like he was, it wasn't like he had a 500 batting average in the playoffs. He just happened to hit really clutch home runs when the Yankees actually needed them, unlike other people on the team. But it's just
which
so
almost
hard to
is
believe.
more impressive though.
Right.
Which is almost more impressive that he was hitting with that level of power in those big of spots. He wasn't slapping the ball around the field. He was hitting moonshots.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he was doing what they needed from him at the time that they needed him to do it, which is more impressive when you think about it. And for Cole, I don't know if I believe that he thought he could pitch if it were in fact a torn ACL, partially, like a little bit of a, knowing how hard he throws. I don't think a doctor would tell him, oh yeah, you could pitch through this. I think a doctor would have been like, you know what? I think we need to fix this. So
well, yeah, but with HIPAA laws, that information is not allowed to be public unless Gerrit Cole allows it to be public.
No, so I understand that, but I really don't think that a doctor would have said to him at any point, yeah, you could probably pitch through this, because if you're throwing that much harder than other people are throwing, that arm is gonna snap.
You know what? Same as Stanton, though. If he was pitching through this, tip your cap. He pitched pretty damn well on a partially torn UCL.
Yeah, that's
regardless. We know there was something going on in the elbow.
Yes,
and he pitched on that, for 6 months last year. That alone is pretty impressive.
Yes. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Got some messages from people who were upset about Monday's show, and I'm sure there are messages upset about the news that came out about Cole, so I will be checking that. The link is in the description. You get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades, signings. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, what is a potential backup plan when it comes to replacing Gerrit Cole in the rotation? We will discuss that next.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. And remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club to get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. The link is in our description. So, Stacey, as we sit here and wonder, let's clarify before we start this segment, just for our listeners out there. There is no replacement for Gerrit Cole. No. It doesn't exist. Gerrit Cole is a future Hall of Famer. Gerrit Cole is the second best pitcher in all of baseball right now. He is a Cy Young winner. He is everything you could want in a pitcher. There is no replacing a pitcher like Gerrit Cole. But it does feel like the Yankees got to do something, right? You got to do something.
Yeah.
So here's the problem. there is not a lot out there. This is happening very late in the season. What are we, 2 weeks from opening day?
Or late in
This is very late.
Late in spring training. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, late in spring training. This is not an easy fix for the Yankees. I wrote down some names. You can give me a yes or a no. I'm not sitting here saying that any of them are replacements for Gerrit Cole, but would you take a flyer? I guess is what I'm asking. Now, keep in mind, these guys probably won't be available until early or mid-May at this point, but do they take a flyer? The free agents that are available currently. Kyle Gibson has had some nice moments out there. I don't know, I mean, he could be a nice fill-in. Patrick Corbin, do you want to finally bring him to the Bronx? Do you want a reunion with Lance Lynn? I don't know. Doesn't feel like one, right? Here's an interesting one that I would want to run by you. Again, not a replacement for Gerrit Cole, but he can probably give you an impact. Sixto Sanchez is still available. Now, I know it's fallen apart for him in years past. He's had a lot of injury problems, but I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to take a flyer out on him. He's a free agent. He doesn't have a team currently. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to just make a phone call. You interested in coming back? He at one point had all the talent in the world and one of, the top young prospects in all of baseball. I don't think it's a terrible thing to bring him into camp and see what he's got.
I don't think so either, because like you said, they're not replacing Gerrit Cole. Everyone's going to be pushed up, and someone's going to fill the fifth spot of the rotation. And yeah, when I said replacement in the tease, if you're not watching on YouTube, I used air quotes because
I wasn't going at you at all.
No, I want to, but I want to explain to the listeners who don't see me making all my, I gesticulate a lot. Okay. I'm part Italian. I can't help it. But some of these guys, any of these guys wouldn't be a terrible option because again, you're not expecting them to be the ace. You just want them to, it's like you're patching up a hole in the side of a boat that has a leak,
Yeah, but you're using duct tape.
Yes. Yeah, you're not
using duct tape. It's not going to hold forever.
Yeah, you're not using the stuff that you spray on and then it seals the boat. What's that seal stuff? That infomercial
Flex
stuff.
Seal.
You're not using that. Flex Seal. There you go. You're not.
We
using
shouldn't be
Flex
giving
Seal.
out products though. Where they don't sponsor us, so we should. Shouldn't be saying that.
We're not sponsored by Flex Seal, but that's what popped into my head. So yeah, no, you're basically covering it with like Scotch tape. At this point.
There are some trade candidates out there, but I just want to go through this quickly, Stace, because I don't think that this is even a remote possibility because the trade market works like the stock market in a sense, or it works like any market, right? Supply and demand is a huge thing out there. And I'm sorry, now that teams know that your ace is gone and you're trying to save your season, quote unquote, the price goes up a lot for anyone the Yankees want to acquire at this point because they know you're desperate.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to give up like Dominguez, Spencer Jones. Like they're gonna have to include Dominguez in those trades now.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is a remote. This isn't a remote possibility, in my opinion. I don't think Dominguez is a touchable piece. It's not a tradable piece for sure. I'd sit here and say that maybe Chase Hampton and Dominguez, he's their top pitching prospect, despite him being hurt currently. He's recovered from Tommy John too.
Yeah,
maybe, but yeah, I agree with you. They're going to start with asking for Dominguez, and maybe you settle him down to Chase Hampton, regardless of the fact if you want to acquire anyone that's on this list of players that I'm going to give you in a few seconds, you're going to have to give up the farm, and a lot more than Brian Cashman's probably willing to give up. I don't hate a reunion with Michael King. The Padres are supposedly shopping him. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. The Yankees built him into what he is. I don't think he'd mind returning either.
Right.
Dylan Cease, I think, would be an awesome addition. Again, coming off a slightly down year, but really could pick it back up. The price might be slightly cheaper on him, but certainly not much. This is one that I think is possible. I think they'd poke the tires on this. Again, it's going to cost a lot. And are you willing to empty your farm? We'll discuss that actually tomorrow. Look at this. We're coming up with topics as the show's are on, but we're going to discuss tomorrow whether it's worth giving up your farm to acquire somebody to replace Gerrit Cole or to replace the efforts that Gerrit Cole was going to give you. Because that's a debate in its own, if it's worth doing that or not. But the other one that I thought of was Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins. Huge upside, Cy Young stuff. Marlins are supposedly shopping him. Now, it's going to cost a lot, but we do know there's ace potential in that arm.
And he's coming back from surgery too, right?
Yeah. So that might be one that I would go after. That might be the only one that I'd be willing to empty the farm for, to be honest with you, either. Keep in mind, these guys are young, and there is potential that if you acquire one of these guys that aren't extending contracts, you're going to have to extend one of them at the end of the year.
Right.
You know, Marcus Stroman's contract is up. There's money to be moved around, but I don't hate the Alcantara move, but I think tomorrow with Stacey, we'll discuss if it's worth moving a guy or not.
You know, it's funny that you brought up the Dylan Cease thing, because if I am not mistaken, one of our insiders actually suggested that on Monday with the news originally about Cole coming out. Let me see if I can find it.
The problem is
think
Brian Cashman is not usually too keen on giving up more than he needs to in a trade, and he's going to have to give up a lot here.
Right. Or maybe it was a YouTube. I think it was a YouTube comment, because we got a lot of comments on YouTube. And let me quickly say this. As Brian said at the top of the show, we're trying to be realistic about this, okay? The Yankees, you know, some people were angry with us for being so pessimistic. I don't think we were being pessimistic on Monday's show. I think we were being realistic on Monday's show. Losing Gerrit Cole is a big blow no matter what. But losing Gerrit Cole, when you're already down Luis Gil, you have like 2 or 3 injuries in the bullpen. You don't have Giancarlo Stanton. You don't have an actual third baseman. You're not sure how Marcus Stroman is going to pitch. You don't know how Will Warren's going to do if he's inserted into the rotation. Clark Schmidt still hasn't pitched because his back is bothering him. There's a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah,
I understand some of you pointed out, well, you know, the first half of the season, like they can make moves at the trade deadline and help the team that way. Sure. The Yankees might tread water for the first half, and then something might happen where they're able to make the team where they can, you know, make the playoffs and maybe make a run. But realistically, if you have watched this team in the last 8 years that Aaron Boone has been with them, 7-8 years, do you really think that Aaron Boone will manage a team minus Gerrit Cole to a World Series? And I said to one of the guys who left a comment who was not happy with us,
it's a great point.
if that happens, we will invite you onto the show as a guest, and you can roast both of us if that happens.
Oh, gladly. You can come on and kill both of us. But
yeah.
I mean, Stacey, I don't think in the year plus that I've been on this show, and I mean this in full due respect, that you've made a better point than that. They did everything imaginable to get to the World Series despite Aaron Boone's managing last year. You think they're going to get there without Gerrit Cole? Like, are you out of your mind? Hypothetically, like, no. And whenever you get bad news in life, would you rather someone just give it to you straight, or would you rather someone lie and beat around the bush for you? You'd rather someone give it to you straight and just tell you, hey, this isn't working out. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the bad news is, you want to hear it straightforward. And you're getting that from us. You might not get it from other Yankee shows. Other people might be out there telling you this, that, and the other about they can acquire him, they can acquire. There is no replacing a future first ballot Hall of Famer. There isn't. He's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. There's no replacing that. Look at what happened to the Texas Rangers last year when Jacob deGrom went down. There's no replacing it.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about this, about who's missing, who's not missing in the next segment. But I just wanted to add, I've slept on it. I don't feel as bad as I felt last night, because as I said on Monday's show, I still think that there's a chance for people to step up. Not exactly replicate Cole, but there's a chance for people that you might not expect to step up this season. And I just hope that happens. So
very exciting storylines coming forward.
Yeah. So coming up, there are a bunch of players that aren't here, basically, either through injury issues or, signing with the Mets for, billions of dollars. So we're going to talk about tempering expectations next.
If there's some good news in March, it's that March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on anything and everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. Now, I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel's making it easy to back them with spreads, totals and game props. And how about the Johnnies? You can bet the Johnnies to go as far as you want. Staying in on the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. It's easy, it's fast, and the FanDuel app is simple to use. And when I win, I get paid out instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. So, Stacey, let's talk numbers. 75% of the top players on the Yankee roster from last year's World Series run are currently not on the team or not available. It's the truth. Juan Soto signed for, like you said, $1 jillion to go across town. He's gone. Giancarlo Stanton, an extended period of time. And quite frankly, if you told me tomorrow that he's done for the year, I'm not going to be that shocked. Right. So there's that one. Aaron Judge, he's still here. He'll be suiting up every single day, minus a lot of talent around him.
Hopefully.
And Gerrit Cole, now the news breaks just about 20 minutes before we started recording that Gerrit Cole is done for the year. Tommy John surgery. Stacey.
And into next year too, which is, because it's 12 to 18 months recovering from Tommy John. So it's all of 2025. It could be half of 2026 at this point.
To me, all that matters when it comes to that point, I'm glad you brought it up. To me, all that matters is the fact that he's back for the postseason of 2026. They're talented enough to get them there. If they're not on their way to 85 to 95 wins at this time, at mid-season next year in 2026, there's other major problems that have happened on this team. So Gerrit Cole should be a nice trade deadline addition to the Yankees next year, because you're right. 12 months is about the recovery time, but you're not factoring in an entire A, rehab process of getting back to throwing a baseball, but B, rehab process of getting back in, a spring training mode, a pitching regimen, facing live batters. There's a whole process that has to happen here to get him back to throwing. Who knows? Gerrit Cole might be throwing 104 miles an hour back from the surgery.
He's going to be like Henry Rowan Gardner.
Yeah, the problem
rookie of the year.
a lot of these injuries, what they say is a lot of these kids now are throwing with so much torque on their arm and so much velocity on their arm that their UCLs are pretty frayed by the time they even get drafted. There are, believe it or not, and this is a Rick Wolf comment from back in the day on WFAN if you listen to him, but there are parents nowadays, and I don't know how much you guys agree with this and our listeners do, but there are parents nowadays that are having their kids get Tommy John surgery at like 16, 17 years old because it's just get it out of the way. Get it done with now, get the operation, have him miss a year of high school ball. That's fine, but he'll be ready for the draft. That is an actual thought that goes through parents' heads nowadays. They're operating on their children before their children need to be operated on just to fix their UCLs. That's crazy, but it's happening out there. So a lot of these pitchers that aren't getting the surgery are coming into the major leagues with A, already a Tommy John surgery under their belt, but B, a lot of them, you got to remember, when these kids are phenom level pitchers at the age of 10, 11, 12 years old, they're pitching every day for their minor league, for their little league team, for their high school team, for their peewee ball team, for their
travel team, and they're playing year-long baseball now. Yeah. And
these leagues have, pitch counts and pitch innings limits on these kids, but it's per league. And a lot of these kids play for, a Federation league. They play for a Babe Ruth league. They play for a million different leagues. And those leagues only have a pitching regimen for that one league, not across all the leagues. So these kids are throwing double headers, some of them. These kids are throwing multiple games, multiple innings per weekend. It's a lot on their arms. And if you count that, then you count high school ball, then you count college ball, then you count the minor leagues, and then you finally get to the majors. These kids' UCLs are just like this, hanging on by a thread. And that's why you see a lot of these young pitchers that are coming back and they're needing surgery in 3 months. Back, So a lot of them pitch a lot of their major league career with frayed elbows. And then they come back and they're pitching harder than ever, and their balls have more movement than ever, and they look better than they'd ever looked because Stacey, they got a fully repaired UCL now. So maybe that happens with Gerrit Cole. Maybe he's throwing 105 miles an hour next year, and we're like, wow, where'd this come from? Who knows? But yeah, this is their win total went down from 94.5 to 88.5. That is a massive jump, a game jump, and yeah, Gerrit Cole's probably worth that on his WAR. I don't know what it came in at last year, but I wonder what the 2021 Cy Young award year was, what his WAR finished at, because I'm assuming it's close to that if he finished with 7 runs less.
It was 2023.
2023 Cy Young, yeah. If he finished with 2021 was the year that he should have won the Cy Young.
Yes.
with how much less wins that he actually should have had, because all the sports books adjusted immediately. The World Series odds adjusted immediately. The American League title odds adjusted immediately. They're not out under those conversations, but their chances have completely changed now. They're a top team, but you lose one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball, you can't really replace that. Right. 75% of their top 4 players are now gone. That's a really tough thing to replace. And I wonder, how many people out there are really going to be counting on the Yankees to win the World Series next year? It seems like it's going to be few and far between at this point.
His WAR, according to Baseball Reference, in 2023 was 7.4.
There you go. It dropped 6 runs after a sort of down year last year and coming in a little injured. It dropped six in 6 games this year. And
amazingly enough, 2019, the crazy year that he had with Houston, it was 6.6.
Wow. I mean, that year, he doesn't win the Cy Young that year because Justin Verlander's name is Justin Verlander. That's it. Yeah. Because Gerrit Cole's year in 2019? Wow. 19. I mean, that's one of the more impressive years. There's a reason why the Yankees gave him $1 zillion after that year, because he deserved every penny of it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what have we learned? Gerrit Cole needs Tommy John. He's having it while you're watching this because it's being performed on Tuesday. So that's a big bummer. That's the news we didn't want to hear, but we knew was coming. And it's better to get it out of the way now and just get it over with so the recovery starts sooner, right? Instead of lollygagging. I just, I had hopes coming into the season, even after losing Juan Soto. I thought, okay, they had a pretty good offseason. Maybe things won't be as bad as people are saying they're going to be. And I've also gotten more messages of support from people who are telling me I'm not a Yankee fan, but I like Gerrit Cole, and this is a real big bummer. At least 3 more of those messages from people. One of our insiders, I won't name her, sent me a message saying, I don't believe a Red Sox fan actually said that to you. I will put the graphic up on Wednesday's show to show you that a Red Sox fan actually said, I feel bad that Gerrit Cole is hurt. It happened, I swear. I swear. So thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball with hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB fantasy draft season is here, so be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. You can find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.